record. So I want to introduce Polo Valdovinos. He has been a workforce training teacher since 2012. He provides curriculum content to schools and programs. He's providing 2 more webinars in this series. Next Thursday, July 23rd at 1 p.m. is Get Your Resume to a Human. And on July 30th, Organize Your Job Search. So take it away, Polo.
All right, thank you so much, Celia. So today we'll be going through job scams and identifying what they are, understanding a bit more about how they work, going through some examples, and talking through about how you can protect yourself and be careful when it comes to a scam. So in the chat, there are 2 links, and we have a few responses already. So one is a survey, and the other is a link to the site that you see on the screen, which you can follow along both right now and then or just after the presentation. And right now, so far, we have in our survey responses, the question was, have you ever received a fake job offer? And so far, it was 1 yes, 1 no. So let's see. Yes, the links can be resent. Okay. So yes, there's a link to both the survey and then a link to the site. So I actually probably would have said no, although I've gotten many links or messages in the past, and usually when they come to me, they've been very, very obvious. There's been a lot of typos. There's been a lot of clear things that make it fake. But they're getting more and more sophisticated. One of the reasons, of course, is with AI tools that can make every part of a fake job scam seem more real. And so according to the Federal Trade Commission, just in this past year alone, there's been a 19% increase in job scams, about $300 million in theft just so far related to job scams. The average person ends up being convinced to sometimes give up. The average total, according to the Federal Trade Commission, is about $2,000. And so this is just something that keeps happening more and more. And the starting point for a lot of this goes back to the several years that we've had where there have been data breaches. When we've given our information to a company, one of the biggest ones was Equifax, the credit check reporting company. And so at different points, our information is out there. People know our names, people know our histories, our address. And so that information is with what AI is it's in many cases being used to generate a lot of convincing about a job that may be out there, and also just gaining our confidence by knowing just enough about who we are. So hopefully this shows up on the screen. Let's watch a quick news article about just how this happened to someone who is a job seeker.
Now to a new warning about a scam promising people work from home opportunities. Well, the scam preys on people finding a new job online, and it's cost one Kansas City woman nearly $5,000. ABC's Rebecca Jarvis has those details.
I just felt absolutely and completely powerless. I was devastated.
For Kansas City resident Miranda Owens, a simple job search turned into a financial nightmare.
I was really banking on finding a job because I had looked through hundreds of different job listings at that point.
The 24-year-old says she was scammed out of nearly $5,000 after answering an inquiry for a remote position, saying that within moments of the interview, she was hired.
At the end of that interview, she told me, basically, you did really well during the interview. We think that you would be a really good candidate for us. You are hired.
Miranda says she did her research, looking up the company and its employees through employment networks. Everything seemed to check out.
So I looked them up. I looked up the people who were contacting me. So I felt reassured.
Miranda says the would-be employer quickly turned over instructions, sending a check to deposit in her bank account to cover office supplies, but then requesting she send the money back using a third-party service. When the transfer didn't go through, Miranda sent the payment in Bitcoin. She says only later did her bank notify her that the original check from the supposed employer turned out to be fraudulent. The bank pulled that amount out of her account, leaving her short of almost $5,000.
I just started bawling. I felt like my trust had been completely shattered. My trust in all of these online platforms.
Even though she's embarrassed for falling for the scam, she says she hopes her story helps others.
Okay. So this was a good example of just how sophisticated they've gotten, but in some ways this one was probably a little bit easier. So this particular person responded to an advertisement. They went ahead with the interview. So someone else was on the other side convincing them that this was a legitimate offer. It looks like in this case, the interviewee was in person, but a lot of times scams are happening through interviews that are actually just all virtual, text-based only scams, or just more sophisticated, and not to scare anyone, but the ability for an AI video chat to get better and better, where someone can pretend to be someone else. I mean, right now this is really me, but maybe it could have been an avatar. Maybe this is just not really the person that you're seeing on the screen. So these things are only getting more and more sophisticated, and not to scare you, but this is just really an example of what to look out for. This person was told, now we're this company, go to this site, and what it's building is your confidence, is what's happening through this kind of a scam. Within the job scams themselves, in this case, it was the fake check scam. So the employer went through the process, said, great, you've been hired. Now we just need you to, buy your computer. We need you to buy a new monitor. So they'll send you a check. The check is fraudulent, it turns out. After you deposit it, they ask you for the difference back. And this is what happened to this particular individual. So again, a lot of these things are pretty obvious. If they're asking for money up front, the best thing you can probably think of is if it's too good to be true, if this is a work from home job, and again, later on, the information gets more personal. A few other ones having to do with reshipping. They'll send you, say, okay, this job is about, you're going to be monitoring or managing packages at home. You're a fake mystery shopper, so we're going to send you some money so that you can buy things at another store, and so on. So, and a lot of these scams are very old, but again, they're just getting more and more sophisticated as technology makes it easier for people to pretend that they're someone else. All right. So let's look at what those job offers actually look like. So you might get a message that says, hey, Pablo, we found your profile online and believe you may be a good fit for our customer service position. This is a remote job with flexible hours. Please reply if you're interested and we will send next steps. So a pretty good message, no typos. Again, this is something that's very easily done with an AI chat. You just ask it, hey, I want to send a message to someone offering them a job as a customer service representative. So the quality of the message is just getting more and more sophisticated. And with a lot of tools, you can automate and basically send this message out to thousands of people. And if one or two or just a few of those people respond, that's enough for the scam itself to be successful. Another email example, your background matches the position we are filling. Please reply today if you would like to learn more. So again, just very, very convincing. And then of course, text messages, we get them all the time. And text message example number 3 is based on one that actually just happened to me. So last month, I had already set up this series of workshops with Oakland Public Library. And I got a message from someone said, called Dora. Hello, I'm Dora from Indeed. Are you still open for new work? So obviously this was not true. Why would someone from Indeed call me? But Indeed is, looking back even just right now in the survey, Indeed is the most popular platform from the survey respondents so far. And chances are, if you're someone who's been looking for a job, you probably were on Indeed. So this one piqued my curiosity in terms of how sophisticated it was. But let's actually take a look at it. So I highly recommend that you do not do this. Don't do as I say. But this is actually, I went through the scam. I actually said, sure, I'm interested in this job. Give me more information about it. I wanted to do it, part of it for this workshop, and I was just curious to see how these things could work out there in the world. So look at this detail right now. So first what happened is I get a text message from someone that says, are you interested in a job? I say yes. That gets passed on to someone else. And hello, I'm Emily Carter. I just spoke with Dora and she mentioned that you're looking for a job and she gave me your number to contact you. So they sent me this information. It describes this wonderful job about remote work, only requires 1 to 2 hours per day. And then I asked, okay, I'm interested. Is there a website? And it says right here, you can search for this company, Design Coil, directly on Google Chrome. So when you look for Design Coil, it's a real business. So this is trap number one. They're giving you information that is real. Design Coil is a real company, and it describes them very well. It has, again, just different sets of information. And then I asked, is there an interview? No, there's no interview. We just need you to meet the standard. So again, this was all really obvious, but I kept going through this because it turned out to be a very, very sophisticated operation. And so it goes through, it asked me for information. I gave it a bunch of fake information. I gave it a fake email address. So there was a lot of precautions that I took to get this far. And if you go back down here, it says, we will now provide you with a link to the Design Coil workbench. And what they've done is that Design Coil is a real website. Again, you go to this site, Design Coil, and you'll find it. But look at the address that they gave me right here. DSIGMCOIT. So what a lot of scammers are doing, and something else to look out for, but also a chance for you to be more careful, is any information that they send out, look for any sort of typos, some sort of difference between what's been presented and what's out there. A lot of people have been scammed this way. This has happened to Microsoft addresses and a lot of other ones that are out there, where they'll just come up with a link that sounds just good enough. Now, I kept going further. Again, I don't recommend this. But how this scam in particular worked is that they send you to a dashboard where you're very, very convincingly promised this job where what you're going to be doing is posting feedback on products. I don't know if this has happened to anyone else. I don't know if anyone else has been scammed in this way. But what I found really interesting is that it was very, very specific. It had a really well-built website. And so there was a lot of confidence that was built into it. And if you're familiar with the concept of sunken cost, what they were really looking for is someone who invested enough time and they could decide, oh, well, fine, this must be real. So again, this was a less sophisticated scam, but behind the scenes was pretty sophisticated. It's very, very easy to create a fake website, very simple. One thing I did right here is I asked ChatGPT, I said, make a fake web page of a real company offering a job. And this took 15 seconds for it to produce this. And I didn't even put in any details. I didn't put in any information, but it did a incredibly real looking website with information. So, if I was a fake scammer and I was going back and forth and I asked, oh, could you send me details about the job? this is the kind of thing that I might be able to just create really quick and send it to the person as a scam. So again, this is not to scare you, but to really to be more aware of how easy and what you should be thinking of when someone sends you information about any job during the process. Okay, so let's recap real quick. It's the scammer may copy a real job post. Making a fake website is very clear. They'll give you one name of a company, and then you'll notice that in their other communication, the email doesn't match. So be very, very careful about information like that. Interview can be faked with AI now. So again, all of those things are things to look out for. All right, so let's keep going. Actually, let me pull back. Here's another, so now here's a more sophisticated example. Let me move this ahead and show you exactly how they worked on this one.
We're not hearing anything, Polo.
Yes, I don't know what happened on that one. I can hear it on mine. Well, I'll walk you through. Yeah, sometimes the audio is not working. But essentially, what happened to this individual is he ended up again having a real interview. He found the job posting on a real website. In this case, the company was called iSolved. So what's happening now is even if you go on a real website, other people, scammers, can be putting up a fake ad. Even though these websites are supposed to have protection, they can't catch everything. And so again, this person got through the process far enough where they try to pull the same thing, and somehow he was cautious enough. And the company they used was a real one. And so the best thing that you can take away from this is if you find yourself in this situation, just looking online for jobs is also look through the company's own website. So if you find the job on a job board, Indeed, LinkedIn, anywhere else, also go to the company's website and look for that job. Okay. So things can look real. What does the process actually look like? All right. So it starts off with the recruiter contacting you, says something that maybe depending on the kind of data that they have, it could have your name, it could talk about, something based on your LinkedIn profile. So these scams can be very sophisticated depending on the people who are executing them and how much information they've gathered before they've contacted you. But this is part of what's convincing you that this is a real company. They'll send you a link. They might send you to the link of a real company. So this is your first step between step 1 and 2 for you to really be careful and see, okay, what did that email address actually come from? Does it actually point to the website? So for example, there was that email address that they sent to me, or maybe it comes off as recruiter@northstar-product-careers.com. And so you're going to want to look at this part of the email address and find that website. See if it even exists. See if it matches up. So when you're at this stage right here, work with what you have, look for the email address and see if it matches the company. When you are invited to the interview, also be very careful during that process. If you get a link and all of a sudden it's asking you to download software, that's a big clue. One other one that I saw is that maybe the link looks like it's a login to Gmail. And so that's another type of scam where the second it looks like, wait a minute, let me put in my email address and my password, that's really what they're looking for in that kind of a scam. Now, again, based on the examples and the news videos that we saw just right now, There are people that go through this entire process to step 4, go through an interview, and I've seen and heard about scam, or I've watched about scams where the people get an entire HR packet with detailed information. And so again, these are just cautionary tales of just how deep the fakes can be. But these first steps are your first parts of your process to securing yourself to make sure that you don't get scammed. Going back through the offer letter. So all of this really starts at the beginning of finding out the job from the website and being very, very cautious with anyone that's soliciting you online. The things for warning, the big obvious ones is anytime you're being asked for any sort of verification or training fee, the fake meeting or sign up links, they're promising you an instant job offer that's too good to be true, equipment purchase, private information is being asked too early. Those are all the warning signs. To protect yourself, again, look for the job posting on the actual site, look up the company, search for the recruiter. Also use search engines to find something. For example, type the word in scam and maybe the name of the company they gave you. Sometimes if it's a recent one, that'll show up either on a message board, like Reddit. It'll show up on the Google search. Someone will have come up with it. But looking around and just to see, okay, is there another scam like this out there is going to hopefully be something that helps you. This is yet another article about someone who was caught up in the fake scam. Now, if you experience a scam, stop contacting as soon as you can. Don't do what I did. Don't keep going through the process. Contact your bank. Ask where the payment can be stopped immediately. If a password is shared, right away, go ahead and change it. And then this is a link to some of the reporting scam sites, which I did go through the process to report the one that I went through, but the last time I checked, the website was still there. So that process seems like it takes a while, and so on. So scams out there are getting more and more sophisticated, not so much as in the process or what they're promising, but it's always the same. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Looking for a match between the email address that you're communicated and one that you're being told is the actual job is going to be a great way to double check. Asking maybe for a callback number. A lot of these people get caught up, it seems like, in interviews where it's only happening by text. So asking for a video interview and maybe saying, hey, I've heard a lot about these scams, or I know someone that's been scammed and so on. I would like to have a video conference. Anything you can do to set yourself up and make it a bit harder for that other person to create a fake is what's going to be it's going to be part of what's going to help you in this process. So, okay. So that's the presentation on the information side. Celia, I think we can, if maybe continue the recording or stop it now. I don't know if people want to share more or ask questions, we can talk more now.